Hi, this is Christina with Houston Realty team, and I wanted to put together a buyer's home buying process, step-by-step guide. As you can see here, I've got a general timeline for buyers, and it kind of breaks down the process, how many days, the things that are going to occur when you buy a home. But before we get started with that breakdown, there's a couple of things right before that. You want to be sure you start saving before you decide you want to buy a home. There are several expenses that you need to take into consideration that a lot of people don't recognize, and one is your down payment. So it depends on what kind of lending you get will determine how your down payment will be required. 3%, 3.5%, 5%, 10%, 20%. These percentages are all based on the amount of the home that you buy. So let's say it's a $500,000 home. You're on a 10%, you're going to need $50,000 as a down payment. Plus, things you need to consider are your closing costs. So there are closing costs that are related to every single purchase, like when you buy a car, title policies, all that fun stuff. You have the same thing when you buy a home. So you want to be sure that you're considering those. And then, of course, the other piece that you want to consider is your moving expense. Some people don't think about that, or when you're changing utilities, sometimes they're deposits. Anyway, those are minor, but I want to be sure when we bring them up. The other thing I want to be sure before we get started on this, the days, how the process goes, is I want to bring up how it's so important that you set a budget for yourself. A lot of people don't look at a home as a business, but of course, as a real estate broker, I always want to bring up to you, this is going to be, in most cases, your largest investment in your entire life. Now, you may move from home to home, but it's still going to be one of your biggest investments. So I always suggest you look at it like a business. So that means putting your savings together, put a budget together, and don't go over that budget. The other thing is you want to check your credit, fix if there's any issues or polish it up so you can get the best interest rates. Also, if you're a first-time home buyer, you want to be sure you're looking for any down payment assistance programs. And of course, when you get with your realtor, you want to be sure that y'all are having those discussions so that you can get with the right lender, be sure you qualify for the right type of financing. And of course, that then takes us to interviewing your agents. So as a buyer's agent, you want to be sure that you've got someone in the game, so to speak, that's looking out for your best interest. And that means, they're experienced, they're familiar, they know how to offer suggestions for repairs, walking through the home. Are they helping you see if there's any foundation issues? You want an educated, fully functioning, if you might, realtor working for you to be sure your best interests are at heart. Okay, so once you've interviewed agents and you choose an agent, you'll actually write up a representation agreement because those are the new laws. In order to be able to work with a realtor now, you must be under a representation agreement. In the past, it was not like that. Now it is mandatory. So the other thing you want to do, once you pick your agent, you want to be sure you get with a lender. A lot of real estate brokers and agents work with specific lenders because they know they've got special programs, they've got down payment assistance, they've got special deals, buy downs, all that have to do with getting your loan going. So you want to be sure and kind of talk about those as well as get your loan paperwork together. And I always recommend that when you start getting your loan paperwork together, and of course your lender will tell you exactly what you need, put it in a folder and be prepared to send it out several different times throughout the process, because there's going to be times where they're going to say, well, we didn't get or we didn't see. So you want to be sure and have it in your folder so that you can resend it easily at any time. And that will then get you your pre-approval letter, which kind of starts the process when you are prepared and ready to go to start looking for a home. And of course, that's the most exciting side. Now that you've gotten pre-approved, you've got your realtor, Now you want to start looking for your home search. Now, real quick, in one of my other videos, there's 5 questions you must ask to determine your buyer agent. You might want to look at that video as well. It kind of details a lot more of what you're looking for or what you want to be sure that they have experience in. Okay, so again, you want to stick with your budget. Now, a lot of people will suggest, hey, let's look at a little bit more expensive. Let's look at, improve homes that need improvements. You want to narrow down your search. Do you want to buy an existing home? Do you want to build? Do you want to renovate? So you want to be sure, and also what neighborhoods you want to look at. Is it a school zone that you're particularly concerned with? Or is it a drive time to your employment? So all those things you want to be sure you're covering with your agent. All right, so now let's say that we've already gone through, we've shown homes, and you've picked the home you want to buy. You're super excited. Your agent helps you put together a contract that is to your best interest. That's why you wanted a real estate agent. Because they're in the just in the Texas contract, there's probably 75 plus negotiating items that you want to be sure you're clear about, and that your agent is writing up to your best needs. If you work with the seller's agent, that will not happen. They are working for the seller. Remember that. So some people think that they're going to I'm sorry, I got distracted, pardon me. Let's get back to the general timeline for buyers. So the first day is when the contract's been submitted and the seller accepts it. So that's day 1. In your contract in Texas, you have to deposit your earnest money and your option fee within the first 2 to 3 days. So you want to be sure and get that with the title company, and they will receipt it, and everyone will get confirmation that you've gotten that money deposited, and it all goes to the lender, the title company, the seller's agent, and the buyer's agent. Once you've got that option fee paid for, now you want to be sure you get your home inspection scheduled. Do not, please never buy a home without a home inspection. Sometimes they will have previous home inspections and you feel good about that and you'll take that. And unfortunately, I've seen it where they ended up with more problems than they could shake a stick at because they accepted somebody else's home inspection and didn't have it done for themselves. There are several different home inspection companies. Your agent will be able to help you find the right one for you as well. So in this option period, you have paid the seller amount of money so that you can do a home inspection. And for whatever reason, if you decide you don't like the paint color within that timeline, whatever it is, usually between 5 and 10 days, you can step out of the contract. They keep your option fee, and then you get your earnest money back. So let's say you go ahead and do the home inspection. You find a couple of things from between day 2 and 10. You're going to be negotiating any repairs that are needed, any maintenance items. Depending on the market, your agent will be able to help you through that process, because sometimes when it's a seller's market, you can't negotiate maintenance items. When it's a buyer's market, you can negotiate maintenance items. And not to say that you can't ever negotiate these, but you might lose the opportunity to get that particular property if you negotiate incorrectly during a particular market. Anyway, let's say you decide you're going to terminate it. Well, then if you terminate the contract, like we mentioned, you're going to get your earnest money back. The contract's going to be finalized, and nobody's going to purchase the home, and you move on. But if you decide to continue, you negotiate it out, everything's ready to go. Now we're at days 6 to 11, where you're going to, once you're through your option period and you are ready to move forward, you're going to get with the lender. Your agent's going to remind you and help you through this whole process, that you're going to get with the lender and order the appraisal. The appraisal takes, depending on your market, can take anywhere from 4 to 12 working days. So That's why this range of days 6 through 25 for appraisal is so, there's such a huge discrepancy. We don't know what your particular situation will be at that time. Anyway, once you've gotten that appraisal back, in the meantime, the lender is going to be asking for a lot of paperwork to finalize the loan. So once the appraisal's in, they've got all your paperwork together. They can get it to underwriting, who gives your final approval, and they kind of tell you what types of things you're going to need in order to get final approval for that particular loan. So the lender required paperwork. You're going to negotiate any discrepancies in that value if the appraisal comes back too low. Here's the cool part. If it comes in too high, you've got built-in equity immediately, and you just move on. You'll let the seller's agent know that it met value, and you don't need to tell them anything more than that. So between days 14 and 28, we're moving towards the end of your closing, where you can actually make the final payment to your lender through the title company and buy your home. So you're finalizing insurance paperwork, and I do recommend that you shop your insurance. It's very important. It's a huge piece of your monthly payment. So in your monthly payment with your lender, you're going to have your mortgage, you're going to have your insurance, and you're going to have your taxes in most cases. That's why your down payment will make a big difference. The 3 to 20%. If you put 20% down, then sometimes they'll let you escrow your own money. But if you're a first-time home buyer, please let them do this for you until you get your budgeting down. Anyway, then we're going to be moving to schedule for closing. When we start scheduling for closing, which is normally 3 business days out, because the lender is required to give you 3 days notice of your closing disclosure, so you know exactly how much money you're going to need for closing. You need to start scheduling for your utilities, your moving. Be sure your insurance documents are all with the title company, because they will allocate out all the money at closing, which is very nice because you are not responsible initially for paying that insurance. And it's important that you know that, because some buyers will go ahead and make those payments and you don't even own the home yet. So don't do that. Let it go through the title company and everything's clean. The lender now knows everything's been paid and you're ready to go on day 1 after your closing. The other thing that's super important here is a final walkthrough. Some agents will do a final walkthrough a week before, 3 days before. I always recommend that you do the walkthrough the day of. There are so many things that can happen to a home, even overnight. I actually had an experience where we did a final walkthrough the day of closing, and their hot water heater had busted, and it was running down the walls in a 2-story home, and it actually destroyed the hardwood floors. They did not end up closing, and fortunately, they were able to get it all fixed before they purchased it. Anyway, all right, so now you're at closing day. So here's the thing. You've already gone over your closing disclosure, so you know exactly how much money you're supposed to have. You're signing all the paperwork. They're telling you all the ramifications if you don't make payment, this, that, and the other. But the bottom line is, the home is yours. Congratulations. Now your realtor should do some follow-ups with you several ways. Obviously, during that time you have a good relationship, but it's important that you file for your homestead exemption, and there's paperwork that's needed for all that. And so here is a quick rundown of the timeline for buyers, first-time buyers, home buyers. If you ever have any questions or concerns about any of this, we're always available. Christina, Osborne, Houston Realty team. We appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great buying experience.